Welcome to Chasing North, a podcast for purpose-driven professionals, entrepreneurs, and changemakers who know that real success isn't just about status, it's about alignment. I'm your host, Christin Mack, business leader, lifelong learner, and someone who believes that the most powerful journeys are often the most personal. Here, we dive into real conversations with real people, exploring personal growth, leadership, conscious business, and the deeper motivations behind impactful success. Let's get curious together, because every path holds power and your worth is not up for debate. Hi, and welcome to episode 6 of Chasing North. Today, I am truly excited because Kristin Guadagno and DiAnna Jackman are joining me, business partners at Northstar Title Agency and longtime industry friends. They are a dynamic duo, and I promise there will be a lot of laughing and silliness for this entire episode that we're going to do it twice. So we're going to do part 1 and part 2 because I just know 30 minutes isn't going to be enough. So hi, ladies.
Hello.
Oh, it's already starting off exactly as I anticipated. This is fantastic.
Practiced that song for you this morning.
Yeah, on the way here? That's awesome. So just to start a little bit, ladies, I would love it if one of you guys can thumb wrestle or decide what triggered or inspired or got you to the point to want to start Northstar Title.
I'm going to do something new and let Kristin go first.
Oh.
Because I usually do all of the talking, so I'm going to give her her moment.
I'm shocked at the moment.
I know. It's
Yeah.
very shocking.
What was the pivotal moment? I don't know if there was one in particular.
Okay.
I think it was a buildup over time.
Mm-hmm.
A buildup of just us becoming somewhat disenchanted with the things that we were seeing in the industry and the way that our businesses, the businesses that we were working for, were going, and us wanting to do something different and make a change, positive change for our industry people,
Yeah.
for the our people that are running desks and doing title work and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it was just a buildup over time for us,
Yeah.
for me.
And for me, I mean, obviously we're always thinking about ways to do things better, but for me it was when we got our money and I was like, let's do this. And Kristin's like, okay, go. So it's just not something you just decide overnight to do, like Kristin was saying. It's not something you're going to just wake up and be like, you know what, I think I'm going to quit my amazing paying job. And, although every place you work has its quirks, it's not horrible. It's still escrow. It's still people. You still enjoy what you're doing. You still have an obligation to the people you're working for and a loyalty and things like that. It's just when you finally get to that point where you trust in yourself enough and believe in yourself enough to say, not only do I want something better for the industry, but I just want something better for myself. And so I think for me, that's when I was like, you know what, let's bet on ourselves for once and do this. We had both been working in this industry for so long, and I worked for the same company for like 33 years. So I didn't have a lot of experience in other companies. So when I finally ventured out and realized, wow, it's just the same everywhere, so just on a different scale or on a different trajectory, and we can make it our own and make it something we can be proud of, then let's just go for it.
Yeah. So you went first.
Yes.
And how long were you the lone wolf at Northstar?
For 2 months.
For 2 months, yeah.
Yes, and I hated and loved every minute of it. Yeah, it was the only time I got to boss myself around. But it's amazing at how much you truly know about being in business and starting a business when you're in business for that many years and in the same industry for that many years. You think it may be an impossible feat, but then you're like, okay, put one foot in front of the other and everything. Okay, yeah, I've done this before. Okay, I'll do that. And then you realize, oh, I just opened a company. All right, here we go. So it's just continuing to move forward with that mindset of nothing can stop you.
Yeah. And then Kristin, you came along.
Yep.
And so what
July
was
11th.
July 11th? We just celebrated your 1 year.
Yep.
Woo-hoo! And so what was it that was there a moment where you were like, this is it? Like, when was it that you decided that it was time for you to do it?
Well, I mean, we had been chatting about it for quite a while.
And you were always going, right?
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't anything, but was there a moment that you were like, okay, now's the day?
Honestly, I think the timing just worked out because I've always run a desk. I mean, for the most part, for the last 15, 20 years. Mm-hmm. And so the timing just worked out that my deals were closed and there wasn't going to be as much disruption for the clients. And so it was just like, oh, this is the natural progression of things. You know, either I jump now or it's going to create more problems down the road. And I think both DiAnna and I are very cognizant of what the client experience is. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to make sure that there was the least amount of impact to what they were seeing and what they were feeling.
Yeah.
So, I had some fairly large deals that closed at the end of June, early July of 2020 or 2024. And so then it was like, okay, today's the day.
Yeah. And so just a little bit, because maybe all of our listeners and viewers don't know. So you are a commercial escrow officer and manager and builder of departments and all the things throughout the years.
That's right.
And that's a very niche sort of business. And so what are some of the challenges in that industry or in that field, so to speak, especially as an escrow officer in that arena? What are some of the differences? And I know you know a little bit about residential because obviously we cross over sometimes.
We've forced her to the dark side of residential many times.
Commercial is so much better. No.
I mean, I feel like maybe the residential may feel that way. They're like, there's no emotion. It's all business.
It is, which is why I probably like it. You know, either the deal pencils out or it doesn't. And so it's either going to work for the buyer or it's not. Mm-hmm. There's not really a lot of emotion behind it. You know, it's not, I fell in love with the kitchen or I really love the tile in the bathroom or, you know, it's
does this chandelier really?
Yeah.
Why isn't it here anymore? What happened? Yeah.
But it's, you know, is there a return on the investment that I'm putting into this property? And I think that's what I really like about it is that it's very numbers driven instead of emotional like residential can be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, challenges, you're dealing with a lot of very savvy investors. You know, they a lot of times will know more about what's going on in the transaction than you. We're like, you know, I think all of escrow sometimes feels like little mushrooms in the dark. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times in commercial, it's even more so because there's lots of conversations that are going on without you being a part of them.
Yeah.
But that's also a great experience and a great way to learn because you're learning from industry veterans, people who have been doing it a long time, people who are very savvy and very technical. And honestly, I love dealing with attorneys. I have...
Ooh, interesting. She needs help.
I love attorneys. They're very smart. I have most of them. I like smart people in general.
Yeah.
So that's
why we're best friends.
Of course. Yeah.
So I think that's probably part of why I enjoy it.
Yeah. And is there a deal that just sticks out in your mind where it was a difficult deal or a really fun deal, or I think all of us have like that one deal that we always remember. Is there one or?
I mean, one of the transactions that I've done throughout my career was, I think it was 6 or 7 different apartment complexes that were all being sold to the same buyer. And they were about 50 to 60 million each apartment building. And 5 of them had defeasances, which is where the seller has a...
She's getting so excited.
This is so technical.
We don't know.
They have
defeasance.
Yeah,
Ooh,
they have
word.
a CMBS loan, which is commercial mortgage-backed security type of loan, and it has to be defeased, meaning that they have to replace the income because they can't just pay it off. You cannot pay off that type of loan. And so they go out to the market and they buy bonds, and the interest on the bonds pay off the remaining debt. And it's all very exciting, but it is very to the minute. You have to have the way that it is structured, that type of a deal is structured, is so crazy because they have to go to the market, buy the bonds. There's a time frame that you have to buy the bonds, and then they have to settle within 3 business days. And then on that business day, once the bonds are purchased, everything gets dispersed. And so you're dispersing a lot of money before you've even recorded. And so it's a very interesting type of transaction, and I find those to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm a dork.
No, but
I'm very excited right now.
I know.
what I love about that is you lit up when you were talking about it, right? And that's really kind of what this whole Northstar thing is about. It's about how do we continue that impact and make ripples and really inspire other generations or the current younger people that maybe want to get into the business or just starting in the business. So if you had the opportunity to talk to someone out there that's maybe thinking about going into commercial escrow or is starting out and just confused or frustrated, like what's something that with all of your knowledge and experience and expertise you would tell them?
On the basic level, make sure that you're copying everybody on everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Communication.
That is a commercial thing. Everybody needs to know what's going on in the transaction. Don't hold it to one side or the other. On a technical level, I think know what you don't know. And when you don't know, ask for help, because you can get yourself in real trouble real easy.
Yeah. Because right now, all the things you said, I don't know what it
Yeah.
means.
Right.
So that's why I would go, hey, I've got a great team for you.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to do it. But I think a lot of residential escrow officers believe they can do it, right?
Right.
They want every deal and they want to close every deal, and just all of the things that you mentioned, like that is something that is so outside the scope of what I know and understand. 100% would have to give that to somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think early in my career, I would have said, oh no, I can figure it out.
Right.
There's no way I would figure that
No.
out, right? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, especially when we start out, we were in this position of desperation and like we feel like we have to take every deal, when in actuality, if you can refer it to someone else, you're really doing the best for the client.
That's 100% true.
And so as a leader, Di, of several companies through the years, what is something that you would share with escrow officers that maybe are in that position or feeling like they are taking on too much or more than they should?
You know, I'm one of those that was more like you, like, I'll do it. Yeah, figure it out as I go along, make my mistakes, get my licks, and learn. I think the biggest thing I have tried to teach people as a leader is how to find their own internal confidence and how to find their own niche. You know, everybody has, you know, you might be luxury residential, you might be commercial, you might be investor. I was someone that was able to do all of those things because I enjoyed learning new things. I enjoyed, you know, taking on things that people were like, oh, you can't do commercial and
Insert hair
residential.
toss.
Hello.
I could do all of that, but
Yes. And I grew up in this industry in an attorney state. So I came to the table with a different type of knowledge. So coming out here and learning it from the flip side, the escrow side, you really do have to be a little bit more salesy. You really do have to have that customer element, where I was basically just pumping out documents and making sure everything was signed and note. I was basically a glorified signer. So I think what excited me is just before I left the Chicago area to come out here, I was going into offices that were failing and finding the right people to turn it around, hiring, firing, restructuring, finding people's, purpose. And then by the time I would leave that office, it was making money and I would move on to the next. And I think for me, I learned so much through that as a leader, that not everyone is the same type of person. my motto used to be, if I could do it, anyone can do it. But it took some maturing over years to figure out that people are so different on so many different levels. And it's okay if people don't want to be a killer, if they just want to do, just what they can do to make enough money for their family. Some people want to take on the world and become the next, one of us sitting here. And those people, we want to make sure everyone is able to do their very best of what they want to do, but push them just a little bit further, just to make sure they're getting their all out of it.
Yeah. And I think you said something really important in that, meet them where they are. Mm-hmm. And
that's hard for me.
I think it's hard for all of us.
Yeah.
We all, I think, grew up in an era of, I don't want to say abuse and trauma because that makes it sound so much heavier than it is, but we've definitely witnessed or been on the other side of some aggressive mentors and leaders and managers that expected us to just know things that they never taught us. I mean, for me, and I know maybe you guys had similar experience, I was working in an office during the boom, right? Before the crash. And that's when I started in the business, and it was go do this signing. I had just gotten my notary. I had never read a loan document. I didn't know what to do. I would just say, sign there,
right,
and wait for them to sign, right? And they started asking me questions, and it was so uncomfortable for me because I was someone that prided myself or took pride in the fact that I could answer those questions and do those things. So I think the shift, the old blueprint doesn't work anymore.
Right.
And you were in trouble if you didn't know something that you were never taught. And we had to do a lot of that for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, did you guys have similar experiences? Do you have a moment that you can remember where you were like, that is never happening to me again. I'm just going to figure this out on my own.
I mean, my first manager was amazing. I absolutely loved her. She was funny. She was everything you would want in a manager. But she was kind of like a ticket taker from the top. And so when she was told, okay, this person has to go or that person has to go, she would just blindly do that instead of fighting. So I think when she came to me after I was in like the original boom in the 80s when the rates went from like the 20s to the teens, and I sat same thing doing refinance signings. And after the dust settled and they start auditing files, they're like, girl, you don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, well, I know, because I was just doing my best. And so,
because no one told me.
She came to me and tried to let me go. And I was like, no. I'm like, you can train me now. And if I still don't get it, then you can fire me. And I just didn't think she saw that one coming. But I think she and I grew together, over the few years that we worked together. Like, I think I pushed her to be a better leader. And she certainly pushed me to enjoy my job a little bit more.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it as like, oh, gotta come in, gotta work, I gotta do this. I just remember I was very young, I was 16, and she was an older lady, and she was just a blast. And I'm like, this is fun. Like, I could see myself doing this, so.
Yeah. And what about you? Was there any moment, I mean, commercial obviously is a very different, if you threw me into a commercial transaction right now, I would have no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, I started just basically reading and highlighting contracts. I think that's the best way. But when I started in the industry, I started in human resources.
Right.
And so I didn't know anything about title and escrow. And it was, I think, the time in my experience that had the biggest impression on me is when we were in charge of the reception desk. So we had 2 receptionists at our main office. This was in Las Vegas where I started. And when one of them would go on vacation or be out sick, I would have to break the other one for lunch and their, short breaks. And so that was, I would learn the most because I would answer the phone and I would have no idea what people were talking about. And then I'd have to go find out. But I would find out and then I would remember it. And so the next time I knew exactly what that person was looking for or how to get them to the right place.
Yeah.
So that was the best time for me. But I did have, when I left human resources and I went into escrow admin, I had a great leader. She was wickedly funny. She was tough as nails. But she always would tell you why. This is why we do this. This is the why behind what I'm asking you to do. And so I learned escrow backwards because I worked in the admin department. I would fix all the issues that clients would call in about. And so I'd be like, now what should they have done? What was the proper way to do this? And then she would teach me why we have to do it the certain way that we would do it.
Yeah.
So but she was outstanding. But I've also worked for escrow officers or, branch managers or, others that were not as accommodating and not as easy to get along with.
Yeah.
And so I think
inspiring.
And so I think all of that shapes how we are today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know when I first moved out and met Kristin, we started about a month apart and both moving back here. And we were under a new manager and, she's blossomed into something good in our industry. But when she first started, she needed a lot of help. And so talk about trauma bonding. I think we did do that. But it's never something to look back and say, wow, she's horrible or that situation was horrible. It's just a way to look at like, how could we do that differently as leaders now? How can we make sure no one is put through those situations or feels that way or things like that, so that you can kind of grow from the experience instead of just complaining about it, So I think that's something that Kristin and we would always be finding solutions and helping the people in the office find solutions around, a manager that just didn't know her way around managing yet. So
yeah. And I think that happens a lot in our industry too. Really good practitioners that have a lot of business are made managers, but they're not given any training. They're not given any guidance. And so they have no idea what they're doing, and they're still expected to maintain
all of
that level of business. Kristin might feel that a little bit right now. But I think everybody's doing their best, right?
Yeah.
And it's taken me a while to get there because we want to meet people where they are, and we think that that's a shift that we can positively make in the industry. But I think also we need to give ourselves and those other people that maybe were doing their best a little bit of a break and go, because I've carried that a lot. I'm just like, I was so abused by this person. And it's like, you know what? She was doing her best, and it just is what it is. And it helped me be better. I learned a lot of what I didn't want. Still learning that lesson, I think it's still powerful.
Yeah. I remember I was talking to my mom, and I would tell her stories about this manager. And she was like, oh, you should quit. That's awful. I go, no, I'm not going to quit. I will manage the office one day. I'll take this over and everyone will be happy and safe.
I love it. And then you did.
I did.
And now a company.
Yes.
Look at that. So let's talk a little bit about Northstar and kind of what the goal and the vision and what we're all up to over there. So we are, I'll let you guys talk about it. So from a customer perspective, why should anyone listening to this that is in real estate or looking to buy or sell a home, why should they come to us? Other than the fact that we're fabulous and amazing.
Right.
But what is it about Northstar?
I think over the last, I'm going to say 20 years, but the last 10 years, there's been such a shift in our industry to the business being controlled by the companies that now there's not a lot of individuals that are as, knowledgeable or skilled at the craft of doing title and escrow. And that's something that Kristin and I both missed, and something that we, it's one of our core values is promoting knowledge, is making sure that the people that are doing the transactions know what they're doing, but better than that, know how to navigate changes within the transaction, or if issues come up within the transaction, instead of just throwing their hands in the air and being like, I didn't do that, I don't know, that's not my fault, that's on you guys, should have done this or you should have known that. Having educated, experienced title and escrow officers can get in front of issues before they happen, but moreover, knowing that if there's issues that come up after the fact, it's not something that everybody needs to put their head in the sand and hide from. It's things that we can take action, make sure things are right, make sure it's a perfect situation, because we are an extension of their team. And when they're asking their clients to use Northstar Title, we have to make sure that we're treating their clients as if they would be treated by the customer. Just making sure that everything's running smoothly. We're not, pulling them through the keyhole, making them scared, telling them things we shouldn't be telling them, keeping, all of the things in place so that they can just concentrate on moving into their new home and having a happy situation, or concentrate on making sure their development isn't falling apart at the seams because they're working with an experienced escrow staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think we've been lucky and also practical on the people that we have hired so far. And all of those people are very experienced. They're very well educated in what escrow is. And I think that's a better experience for the client and for the real estate community as a whole. We're not perfect people, for sure, by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that we do our best to make the transaction as perfect as it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I know Kristin is very struggles with that every time.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get her off the desk, but it's hard to pull those clients aside because they become a part of you. Kristin's been doing deals for 20 years in the Valley, and these clients have become an extension of her, and they back. So it's hard to just say, okay, well, here's your new person and see you later. And we all go through that struggle when we're changing over. I still have clients that write my name on a contract because I've always been one of those people that cares about making sure the transaction is done correctly, that we're getting in front of any issues that might happen. And it's important for us that our staff has the knowledge to be able to do those things.
And the resources to go to if they don't know, if they don't have the knowledge.
Right.
They know who to lean on if they need assistance.
Mm-hmm. And it's safe.
Yeah. I
know for me, when I was a baby escrow officer learning, it wasn't always safe to go ask questions. I was kind of told, well, you should know that, or I was shamed for not knowing something. So I just would kind of go in my hidey hole and try to figure it out. And I love what we're doing because we're different, and we've got some challenges there a little bit. It's not because of anything we've done. It's because of the past, because a lot of us had those environments where we couldn't go and tell someone what we didn't know. And so I love that we're all really focused. And, we're not perfect, like you said.
Right.
Some days we're going to be a little on the edge or frustrated. But what we really want to continue to drive ourselves to do and push ourselves to do is to be the safe place for people to come for education, for knowledge. Even if they ask the question 17 times, we're still going to help them learn that and maybe encourage a notepad.
Right.
And I think one of the things that we're trying to do too, because in our industry, we take care of everybody else, we tend not to take care of ourselves. And so we're trying to promote the escrow staff having a good work-life balance, which makes them happier, which makes the clients happier. But it's a struggle to get these people to understand that, you don't have to tell me when you're going to the bathroom. You don't have to tell me, you can work at home, you can work in the office, you can wherever you want to work, as long as you're getting it done and you're doing it in a compliant way and people are happy. Everyone should be happy. And so you're right. I think they bring the ghosts from the past in with them, and just trying to help people understand there's really no getting in trouble. It's just about how you react to situations that come up, what you can learn from them, and how you can grow from it.
Yeah. I think we all carry the ghosts.
Yeah.
But we're all doing the work with Dawn to address some of those things. So that's something I want to talk about, because I don't know that a lot of people know that about you guys and us as a leadership team. So I'm going to ask Di to talk about Dawn.
Okay.
And a little bit about what we do, because you've had the longest relationship with her.
So Dawn Thompson is, she's a business coach, but she does it in a really fun way. I am someone who does truly believe that where you're born on the earth, my sign, all these things, our personality traits come out. I'm a Scorpio, so I think everybody at this table knows that and has seen that. My little tail come out from time to time.
A lot of people out in the world that know that too.
But I tell everyone, I'm a Scorpio. So it was interesting to me when an agent years ago brought Dawn to the table, and I just went as like fun because I knew she like does cards and she looks at your chart and to see like what's happening with your life. And here we are, I want to say 10 years later. She counseled me through a bad marriage and a divorce. She has made me a better leader. She's made me better with my husband, which makes things easier at home, which makes things easier at work. I think it is so important. I grew up in a family, my sister has Asperger's, and we were always going to, counseling of some sort to make sure everybody was okay with everything. I think it's important for people to reach out for the help that they need, whether that is just someone to bounce ideas off of, because the higher you go up the ladder, the less you can be talking to your employees about little issues here and there. You want to make sure that you're keeping that to yourself. You're keeping that to the people that it doesn't affect. And so I started seeing Dawn when I moved into a managerial role at Chicago Title. And I felt like I had a lot of peers, and I all of a sudden became their boss. And so I wanted to make sure I had somewhere to take that. Yeah. And that's when I started seeing her. And it's been great. I make everybody go to her.
Yes, and I agree, life-changing. And so as you rise to the top, it's a common sentiment that I've heard is it's very lonely. Maybe they're your peers, and now you've become their leader, which is a challenge in and of itself. But it can get lonely there because you don't really have people, one, to chat with, right? But two, you don't have people thanking you for all of the goodness you're giving them. And when you're a closer, right, you're getting the attaboys. You're closing the deal. Everybody's happy. Oh, we've recorded. Like, you get to have that moment.
Superhero.
And then you step away from that. And that's such a big part of all of our identity. Yeah. And then it's just gone. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you were able to figure that out so early. And then Kristin, Dawn, for you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't get the attaboy. Sometimes it's like crickets. Like, hey, we recorded. And you're like, I don't know. Did they get it? Did they hear me? I don't know.
That's true.
I thought I did a great job.
There are times where it's like, I really want to tell the client that they can have their keys, but nobody's answering their phone.
Hope you enjoyed the transaction.
That's true.
Dawn is great. I think that for me, Dawn has really pushed me to look more inside myself as to why I am who I am.
Why are you this way?
Why am I acting this way? What is wrong with me? No, she doesn't do any of that.
She does that to me.
But she doesn't.
She does a little call us out on herself.
She does a little bit, but I think it's been very eye-opening for myself to just kind of be more introspective and try to focus on what is this reflecting back on me? Yeah. What's happening in my life that is causing this reaction or is bringing up this feeling or whatever the case may be. So I think that she's really pushed me to do that. And that's helped me to
move into your leadership role.
Yeah. And just
Kristin's talking.
I think it's more.
Oh, it's sorry.
I think it's helped me to just kind of come into this role or just to, figure out a better way of doing things where, instead of falling back into old habits, how can I do this better moving forward?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's both in my home life and in my professional.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's an awesome place for us to stop episode 1. So thank you guys for being here for part 1. And we will see you next time for episode 2 with the ladies of Northstar. So take care of each other and yourselves. See you next time. Thanks for joining me on Chasing North. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd share the episode, leave a review, or pass it along to someone who'd be inspired. Until next time, keep chasing alignment, trust your path, and remember, your value is non-negotiable.